Hello guys, let's now discuss a new topic, overall heat transfer coefficient, which is very important when we consider analysis of a heat exchanger. Here I have shown a simple double tube heat exchanger with the hot fluid flowing through the inside and the cool fluid flowing through the annulus. So if we see how the heat transfer is happening, the inside temperature is higher than the outside temperature. So as we know, heat transfer occurs from higher temperature to lower temperature. Heat will be transferred from the hot fluid to the cold fluid. How it will happen? First, by convection, because the hot fluid is moving. So first, by convection, it will be transferred to the pipe boundary. From the pipe inner boundary to outer boundary, it will be transferred by conduction, and then from the pipe outer boundary to the cold fluid again by convection. So here there is first a convection, then a conduction, and again convection. So in order to combine all these phenomena and to provide a resistance or a single parameter to account for all the resistances happening in the heat transfer flow, which might be conduction and convection resistance, we are going to introduce this parameter called overall heat transfer coefficient, which is represented by capital letter U. Now usually radiation effects are included in the convection heat transfer coefficient itself. So it is convenient to combine all the thermal resistances in the path of heat flow from the hot fluid to the cold fluid into a single resistance R. Now let's see how these resistances can be denoted. So here, that same heat exchanger, we are going to enlarge or magnify this particular area. So inside there is hot fluid which might be at a temperature Ti. So it will interact with the pipe boundary. This pipe boundary inner area has an area Ai. The heat transfer coefficient for the hot fluid is given by Hi. Then it is conducted through the pipe to the outside cold fluid. So here we have an outer area A0 and the heat transfer coefficient of the cold fluid is H0, and finally outward temperature T0. So if I draw a network diagram, I can see there are three main resistances. The first one is the inner resistance, which is the convection resistance given by 1 by HIAI. Then there is a wall, which is nothing but a hollow cylinder. Then there will be conduction resistance for the wall, and then there will be another convection resistance which will be in the outer section, R0 given by 1 by H0 A0. Now by electrical analogy, we know that the net resistance offered for the heat transfer R or R total is nothing but the sum of inner resistance plus wall resistance plus outer resistance. Inner resistance is a convection resistance. Here we have substituted the resistance for conduction across a hollow cylinder. So this formula we had already learned in conduction, and then again convection resistance. So here you can see the two areas Ai and A0. Ai will have an inner diameter Di. Ao will have the outer diameter Do. So now we have what is the total resistance that is being offered to the flow of heat across this heat exchanger. Now the rate of heat transfer between the two fluids can be expressed as Q dot equal to delta T by R, which is also expressed as UA delta T. Here U is known as the overall heat transfer coefficient, and its unit is watt per meter square degree centigrade. It has the same unit as the convection coefficient H. Now this can be also written as Ui Ai delta T or U0 A0 delta T. Now if we rearrange this equation and if we cancel out delta T, we get 1 by UA, and we are now representing A by AS, which is the surface we are considering, which I can write as 1 by UAI equal to 1 by U0 A0, which is nothing but the total resistance R. So this is obtained by just cancelling out delta T from the equation and rearranging for R. Now this resistance we had already found out as 1 by HIAI plus R wall plus 1 by H0 A0. So now we have a definition for overall heat transfer coefficient and how we are going to estimate it. Now if we see, you can see that the overall heat transfer coefficient, we have two values. There is Ui and U0, and you might be wondering to yourself why we need two heat transfer coefficients Ui and U0. So the thing to note is that the product Ui and Ai and U0 A0 are equal, but it does not mean that Ui is equal to U0. Ui is only equal to U0 when Ai is equal to A0. So the point to note here is that the overall heat transfer coefficient U of a heat exchanger is meaningless unless the area on which it is based is specified. That is, I can either specify heat transfer coefficient U for the inner area, or I can specify the overall heat transfer coefficient U for the outer area. Now this area difference comes when we are using finned heat transfer or if we are using fins on the top of pipes. Okay. Now in that case, if we are considering the wall thickness of the tube to be very small and the thermal conductivity of the tube material to be very high, then in that case the thermal resistance of the tube or the conduction resistance can be ignored. Then we can also give overall heat transfer coefficient 1 by U as 1 by Hi plus 1 by Ho. Here U is approximately same as Ui and U0. So from this equation we can see that the heat transfer coefficient creates a bottleneck for heat transfer or to find out U. So whenever Hi is low, the heat transfer is hindered in the heat exchanger. This arises when one of the fluid is a gas and the other is a liquid. Suppose through the inside of the pipe we have a liquid flowing, which is a hot liquid, but on the outer of the pipe we have air, or we are using cold fluid as air. In such cases we need to enhance the heat transfer rate, so we use fins on the gas side to enhance the product U into area. So hence our heat transfer rate is also increased. So overall heat transfer coefficient, the point to note here is that U is dependent on the area. You can either specify U for the inner area, and U can be also specified for the outer area. So the overall heat transfer coefficient definition is based on the area across which it is defined. Now one of the problems with this is, or with the heat exchanger, is that over time there will be some sedimentation developed on the heat exchanger walls or outside the pipes of the heat exchangers. So what will these sedimentations cause? They will add an additional layer of resistance to the transfer of heat flow. So earlier we were only considering the convection resistance inside the pipe, the conduction resistance of the pipe, and again convection resistance outside the pipe. But now what is happening is there is a layer of sediments on the inside of the pipe, and there might be a layer of sediment on the outside of the pipe. Now when a heat exchanger is induced into service, we can say that there is no sedimentation, but over time sedimentation will develop. So while designing a heat exchanger, we need to account for the factor which or the resistance which the sedimentation induces. To account for that resistance which is offered by the sediments, we introduced a factor called fouling factor or RF. This fouling factor RF measures the thermal resistance introduced by this fouling. So along with the resistances we considered for determining our overall heat transfer coefficient, this fouling factor will also be introduced. Now there are different methods or different types of fouling. Most common is due to precipitation of solid deposit, but depending on the application, like in chemical process industry, corrosion and chemical fouling is also found. And some cases where we are transferring water, there is something called as biological fouling, where certain algae develop on the surface of the heat exchangers. Now this fouling factor or the growth depends on mainly two factors, which is the operating temperature and the velocity of the fluid. When the temperature increases and velocity decreases, the tendency of fouling also increases. Okay, now we have to address this factor, which is the resistance caused due to fouling, into our overall heat transfer coefficient equation. So earlier our resistances, it considered of only this convection parameter, the conduction parameter, and again the outer convection parameter. Now we are going to introduce two additional resistances which are called RFI and RFO, where RFI is the fouling factor corresponding to inner section and RFO is the fouling factor corresponding to the outer section. So this is a general resistance. To find it per unit area, we are going to divide it by the respective areas. So when a fouling is also considered, or we have to consider fouling while or to a certain level while we are designing a heat exchanger. Usually what happens is after certain operating hours, the heat exchanger is shut down for cleaning. Okay, so there is a permissible level of fouling, but once that fouling level crosses a certain limit, then maintenance or cleaning is generally required. But as a designer, we need to account for a minimalistic amount of fouling inside and outside to have a or to determine the heat transfer coefficient. So because this overall heat transfer coefficient directly translates into the dimensions of the heat exchanger. So if you are not estimating the overall heat transfer coefficient properly, then we might need to have a higher or a larger tube size, or we might end up having lower heat transfer rate for a particular design.